guys. Okay, so I just want to introduce you to my friend, my sweet friend Bridget. And Bridget and I go way back. I think it's like 6 kids for me. I don't know about you, Bridget, but it's 6 for me. Um, for those of you who don't know, I have 14 kids. Bridget has 8. So we, yeah, judge things in time by how many numbers of kids we go back. Um, so we met through my blog many moons ago when I had a blog. And then we met in person when I flew out to Southern California to meet Bridget and her family and to do some frontline ministry with them, which was near and dear to both of our hearts. So we got to know each other a little bit better then. So that was a lot of fun. But I wanted Bridget to come and just share a little bit of her heart. And I saw something, Bridget, the other day from you. It was a post, and it really just summed up so much for me personally. And I know it would probably sum it up for a lot of other people as well. So I just want to read that really quick, and then I'll kind of hand it.
Yeah.
So this is the post. Looking back, this opportunity has helped shape our family. It's what started all of my kids on health and fitness. It's changed my husband's health, and that has been huge. We're not getting any younger, and we still had many children to raise. There are so many things I want or wanted to teach my children. First, to do everything for God's glory, to show them by example. Sure, reading, writing, and math are important, but character. I want them to be passionate about God, to work hard. I want them to make choices prayerfully in the spirit of faith and in the confidence that God gave them, and worry less about what people think. I want to educate them to educate themselves on health, live healthy, and be able to serve. And because I think it's good for kids to see their mamas be a little fearless. I love that last line. So, Bridget, can you share just a little bit more about your heart behind that post, maybe?
Right. Well, thank you for having me on, Lisa. And I remember reading your blog and just being so encouraged by you and your family. And something that stuck out to me years ago, and I'm trying to remember how many kids I had. I think I had 4 at the time. In fact, Farah was a baby. Maybe I had 3 at the time. Anyway, but it was around that time. And I remember seeing you posting about families on a mission. And I remember that just stuck with me. You know, there's certain things that will stick with you. And I've kind of carried that into our life in all areas of life, homeschooling and ministry and things like that. And so that's why we ended up bringing the ministry to California with that mindset of bringing families and children to minister together and to teach your children by example, by hands-on. And so kind of going back into what you've titled this is so funny because I'm laughing because that was what I was saying after baby number 6, right? So we had 2 more babies after we met. And through that, you and I would talk and go, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant again. Oh, I'm feeling sick. Or what do you recommend for this? And so you knew that, you know, inside kind of due date friendship that we would have, talking about cycles and things like that you don't talk about publicly, but you talk about with your friends. So Lisa knew me in a way that we would go through pregnancies and nursing and things like that together. But, you know, after baby number 6, that's when my health started to decline. And I would say throughout the pregnancies, I started learning more. I really believe that I didn't need the 3 C-sections that I had, but I didn't know what I know now. And so you start to learn things. You start to learn about supplementation and gut health and things that could help, you know, prevent or so all that to say, after baby number 6, my health really started to decline. And I know, Lisa, you know a little bit about that because my cycles went whack. I remember saying, there's no way we can have any more children. I don't know how all these moms are doing it, but my body can't. My sciatic nerve was hurting. I remember being in the spa and telling my mother-in-law, my body is falling apart. And I was, you know, 34 years old at that time. And so just all these symptoms and things like that. And I had a friend reach out to me and say, have you heard of gut health? It seems like a lot of the symptoms you have are from a lot of the C-sections that you've had, with just antibiotics. And, you know, I had some dental work done, antibiotics. So my gut health was not there. I had, never experienced any type of depression or anxiety ever in my life. But I had a little bit of guilt, to be honest, because the joy of the Lord is our strength. Like, we're supposed to be, not sad. But when your body's out of balance and your hormones are crazy, sometimes you need that supplementation. I mean, Lisa, we've had a lot of kids back to back in our ages now. It just hormones, you need that supplementation. So
it wears on your body.
Right. And, so I told my husband, I cannot do this anymore. I don't even have energy to homeschool the kids. I was carrying this mom guilt around because I wasn't being that fun mom again. And I wasn't being that example and leading them in that way. So at this time, I was in a Bible study. And so I just love looking back. When Lisa asked me to do this, I'm like, oh my goodness, I love to look back and see God's faithfulness in all of it. Because at that time I was praying for answers. I was praying for my husband to get off of the energy drinks because he was working over, 60 hours a week. I was praying for our finances. I was praying for me to get better and healthier, and homeschooling, because I didn't want to send the kids back to school. That was not, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to homeschool them for our family. And I just felt like everything was just falling apart. So, so the products worked, but the business side of it, I was very anti, right, Lisa? I mean, just to be in circles of ministry and church and the Bible study that I was in, there was a stigma that was kind of, so I did this. I took these products secretly even for 9 months. I felt so good. We got pregnant with baby number 7. And I don't know, you probably remember I started swimming. I'm like, Lisa, I'm telling you, I found what works. I'm swimming. I'm feeling better than ever, you guys, with baby number 7. And, but I didn't want to do the business because that stigma. I didn't want to be the mom that sold to her friends. Didn't want to be that mom who left her family and went on the trips. That was not what my goals were. But desperately, we were living paycheck to paycheck. Lisa, at this time we had the 2-bedroom house, and so money, we were fine, really. We were, but the kids needed braces. There was a lot of expenses, the more kids that we brought in, and now baby number 7's coming, right? So that put more pressure on my husband, who was already working the 60, 70 hours a week. Okay, so here's where I decided to swallow my pride back in 2015. It's so hard to tell my story really quick. I'll speed it up. But 2015 was when I decided to put it out there because I honestly felt under conviction. I'm taking these supplements. I'm feeling good. At the same time, I'm in these groups. And some of you may be in them. I'm in the large family homeschool groups. I'm in the Titus 2 mom groups. I'm in those groups. And what are they complaining of every day? They're complaining of finances because they're usually living on one income. The husband's working. Finances are hard. They're having more babies. They're exhausted. They're exhausted. Energy. They're wanting to lose weight. They're, all these things, anxiety. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell them because I don't want them to judge me. But I fell under conviction. I thought, what if I could come from a place where it's not about me, but it's a way to serve? And I'm reading scripture, Proverbs 31, like, and my grandpa said, Bridget, listen to me. You are able to stay home with your babies, help other moms. Why not? And I was like, it is so true. This is such a blessing. And why not change that stigma? And so that's when we decided to, families on a mission, right? We decided to use Plexus as a families on the mission, all hands on deck. Mom can't do this alone, but what if we make this a homeschool? Remember back when we were like, let's teach our kids entrepreneurship. Why not? So my kids we were online events, and Austin would be running an online event while Faith would be cooking dinner, and we just would work this as a family. And so it's been a huge blessing. So it brought my husband home. He does all my back office. He does all my complaints. He's like our own team customer service department. Like this is our bread and butter. It's allowed freedom for my husband to be home with our kids more. And my 6 of the 8 kids have braces or had braces. So that's all paid for debt free. Like God answered all the prayers. And I never thought it would come in the form that it did, but it was the vehicle that allowed us. And I think that sometimes we need to stop putting God in a box. Like, God's not going to answer my prayer that way, right? Maybe he could use this. And and you know, Lisa, the stories, you're one example of a mom that swallowed her pride and said, well, maybe Bridget has something that works. I want to try it because I'm desperate too. I'm a mama having all these kids and trying to juggle ministry and home life. And, you know, now you have, your family's growing even more, right? And I love your testimony sides. But I think that is really my story. I mean, in a nutshell, that it just all kind of comes together.
Amazing.
So yeah,
it's amazing because it just shows, like you said, you can't put God in a box. He uses different vehicles to accomplish different purposes in our lives. And if we're open to that, then he has the ability to move. But I believe that we can put restraints on what God has planned for our life if we try to step in and play God. So I love your story. I love seeing how the Lord has used this to help it grow your family. You didn't have to put your kids back in school. You didn't have to stop having children and having those little blessings running around. And then you were able to incorporate them and show them how Proverbs 31 looks like in this day and age. And it's so doable, and I love it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing.
Love doing this with you, Lisa, and your family, for having me on.
Aww.
All right.
Aww, thank you, Bridget.
Bye.